So some time ago, I shared this Excel application that basically features a map of Nigeria, and the application works in such a way that when you click on any state on the map, it colors this map, it updates its population counter here. It gives a sense of, it gives the state and population information in this two, in this rectangular box that comes up, and then it also highlights the name of the state on this list. And the way it works is that with every state that you select, it increases the state counter, it increases the total population, and it also reflects the state's name highlighted in this list here. So it has been activated for all the states, and you are able to not only click to show the total population of the states you're covering, but if you click away, you notice that the number reduces, the population reduces, and the state that you have clicked off has been deselected from this list. So you can take a pay attention to Ogun State. When I deselect it, you notice the population reduced, the state reduced, and then the other thing is that about to notice about this application is that this box, this rectangular box showing the state and population information, always pops up very close in an area that is really close to the states that is being highlighted. And I'm going to do a tutorial on how this was created. So the first thing I wanted to point out is there are 5 elements to this tool, this application. The first is the updating, the state counter that updates with each selected state, and each time a state is selected or deselected. The population counter too, that works in the same fashion. The states list that highlights or de-highlights a list based on whether it's selected or not. And of course the map itself that is filled with clickable shapes that change color whether they're selected or not. And the final thing is the tooltip that would pop up very close to the state that is being selected, showing the state's name and state population. Addressing how this was made is going to take um, four different a tutorial with 4 different parts. The first tutorial is exploring how the states, how to get states or any shape in particular in Excel to change color on click. The next tutorial will explore how to get counters that update, add, that increment or reduce their value on selection in response to an action, which is clicking the states. How to get this toolbox that appears and disappears, appears when it appears close to a state that is selected, and appears disappears when you step away from the state. And of course, how to activate, how to get this table that also brings in the highlight when the state is selected. So the first thing I'm going to do is the first set of tutorials is going to focus on how to get shapes, how to program shapes that change color when they're selected in Excel. And to do that, I'm going to open a new Excel sheet, new Excel worksheet, brand new, fresh Excel worksheet to demonstrate how this can be done. So my new Excel sheet is book 4. And just before I start, I'm going to remove the grid lines. I'm going to title this tutorial VBA. So when I talk about programming shapes to change color, it's definitely the code used in Excel is VBA. So the name is VBA to change shape color. And recall that we're not just changing the shape color, we're basically toggling the shape color. So it's a toggle application. So it's a toggle code. So, and the logic for the toggle code is here. It's if the shape selected is green, then change to gray. Else, if the shape selected is gray, then change to green. That's the logic. So before we get into so that we can program the VBA, one of the big piece of information that we'll need in programming this VBA is to understand the RGB attributes of the two colors that we want our shapes to change to. So we want to get the RGB, red, green, blue RGB code for gray and for green. So I'm just going to go over here and create a shape that we're going to use to demonstrate this VBA code. So I selected a shape, just created a new shape, any shape, just to demonstrate it. And the first step is to, I'm just going to get rid of the outline on the shape because we're going to focus on changing the shape fill, not the shape outline color. So I'm going to change the shape color to a shade of green that will work for this purpose. So to get the RGB attributes of this shade of, how we do that is we select the shape, and basically any feature, any place that you can go to select colors will give you an option for more fill colors. You'll see this option even when you're using Excel in Windows. So you select the more fill colors, and then you're going to get a dialog box come up. So we have, so whenever you select, you're going to get this dialog box, and then because we have said the shape we have selected is the green shade, we already have the RGB attributes for the green color here. So I'm just going to memorize these RGB attributes, click OK, and then put them in where I have indicated I'm going to put the green RGB code. So I'm just going to memorize it and fill in the number. So the number is 146,208,80. I click OK, and then I write it out here, always in the order of RGB, 146,208,80. And now I'm going to do the same thing for the gray color. So I'm just going to select a gray color. I want the, let me select something that is varies a bit with the back from the background. So I'm going to select the gray color I want to toggle on with the green. And I'm going to do the same thing, go to shape fill, go to more fill colors, and this same dialog box will come up and it gives me the code for the gray I've selected, and it is 118.113.113. I click OK, and then I put this number in here. You can put the number anywhere, but I just put it here so I do not forget it. And then the last thing I'm going to do before I go on to code properly is to name this shape. So this area on your Excel, just below the Excel ribbon, you have the formula bar, and then you have the name box. I believe it's called name box. So you step in there, and then you're going to give the shape a name. The reason why you're giving the shape a name is so that you could leave the name the way it is, but it just makes it easy to connect it to when you are writing your code, to connect it to a shape. Especially when you have several shapes, it's always best to give them a shape. So I'm just going to name the shape Ogun State. No, that's not the shape of my state, but just for purposes of illustration. So now we have named the shape. You can confirm that your shape has been named by clicking away from it and then clicking into it, and then you see that the name is showing up instead of rounded rectangle one which was showing up there. So with that done, now we're going to go into code proper. So to code, you go to the developer tab. The developer tab doesn't always come up naturally come up if you're using Excel for the first time. So you have to go to Excel options, and then it will give you the option to select the tabs that you want to see. You will see the rest over there: home, inserts, layout, formulas, data, and then you see developer on deselected, and then you just select it, and straightforward. It's just as easy as that. You are able to use the access developer tab. So you click on developer tab, and you have several documents open. And when I go to Visual Basic, it's going to show me the worksheets of all the sheets I have open, so that I put the code in the right place and I don't mix it up with any other worksheets that I have open. So I'm just going to save the document and give it a name that I can remember. So I'm just going to call it shape color demonstration. I'm going to have to save it as a macro enabled workbook because if you don't save it like that, when you put in your code, your macros, it will not work. So I've saved it as a macro enabled workbook which has the extension .xlsm. So with that in mind, I'm now going to go to Visual Basic. I would be looking out for the sheet title shape color demonstration. So that's this sheet over there. And then to insert my code, I'm just going to go to insert over here, insert module. Now I have a new module for this worksheet, and I'm just going to go on right ahead to code. I'm back here. I'm going to copy this because I'm going to need it in creating my code. Just going to copy it and just hold on to it in my clipboard. So now I'm starting the code, and I'm just going to create a code. You start this is your regular sub. So you start with this sub. I'm just going to go on and type sub change shape color. I'm just giving it any name, a good name that I can easily remember. And once you do that, sub change color, open bracket, close bracket, once you press enter, it would give you the end sub, because every sub must have, every code must have a beginning line which starts with sub and an ending line that ends with end sub. So that ending line comes up automatically when it detects that you have put in an opening line. The first thing I'm going to do is to declare a variable that I would contain that shape. So when you're working with VBA code, you have to declare all the variables that you're using. Your variables can be strings, they can be ranges, they can be shapes like we would like to use. So again, I'm just coming up with any good sounding name and easy to remember name. So I'm just going to create a variable called ASHP as shape. And I've declared that variable, and the first thing I'm going to do is to assign the shape that I have created in the worksheet to this new variable I've created. So set SHP, which is my newly created shape, to active sheets, that is the sheet I'm working on, shapes, brackets, in double quotes, Ogun, which, if you remember, that's the name of the shape I created. So I've created a variable, and I've called that shape that I created from the worksheet and put it in that variable. Now I'm just going to go on and type out the logic statement I spelled out in the worksheet that would basically the logic for toggling shape color. And that logic goes, if a shape fill for color RGB is, now I'm going to paste what I have on the clipboard, the two attributes I have for the two numbers. So if the RGB code is this, which I believe is gray, which is the first one, 118, 113, 113, then change the code, change the current color to green. And how we change the current color to green is just a shape fill for color RGB is going to be the RGB of the green color. Else, if each shape fill for color RGB is equals to green, which is 146, 208, 80, then a shape fill for color. Notice that when I'm typing these things out, I'm typing them in lowercase, but it automatically changes to uppercase because it recognizes them as a standard code forms. So if a shape fill for color RGB is 1462880, then A shape field 4 color RGB is RGB 118, 113, 113, and if. That's it. Of course, I had to take out those the things I pasted from the clipboard because you notice they were red. So if I left them there, my code would just have been returning an error because they're not they don't align with any of the normal code syntax. But basically, this is the code as it is. It's this short and this straightforward. It follows the logic we indicated. So what we did is that we created the opening code line, which ultimately brought up the ending code line. We declared a variable, shape variable, and then we assigned this the shape that we had created in the worksheet to that variable. And then we added this code calling, referring to checking out the color of this shape, which has now been assigned here. But so rather than having to type out active shape shift ogun fill 4 color RGB all the way, having to type it out every time, we have assigned it to this shorter form, and then we check its color, the RGB attributes. We check if it's green, if it's gray, and if it is, we should change it to green. It needs to change to green. Else, if it is green, then we need to change it to gray. That's how simple the code is. Now we are back on the worksheet, and the last step is going to be to assign that macro to this shape. When we assign the macro to this shape, so if you notice something, if you hover your mouse over this shape, you just see this indicator of the 4 point arrow, and that gives you, if you click on it, it allows you to move the shape here and there. But once you assign it, you'll be able to get the mouse to change to a click mouse. Let me demonstrate that for you. And of course, the mouse changing to the clickable form means that when you click it, the code is going to run. So I'm going to assign the macro now. Assign macro. Remember, we named that macro change shape color. So I'm assigning it to change shape color and clicking OK. And then just like I said, now you hover the mouse, you see the clickable mouse. You clickable mouse type. And if you click it, the color changes like we expect it to do. And if you click it again, the color changes. So now it's toggling the color green or gray, depending on what you select. So that ends the first part of the tutorial. The next parts are going to focus on how to get not only the colors to change, but the number counter, number of states counter, the population counter, and the tooltip and the table to be updated on click. So stay tuned for the next part. Bye.